For the last decade, if you said air superiority, you were really saying F-35 Lightning II. It's a flying supercomputer, a ghost on enemy radar, and pretty much the undisputed king of the skies. For years, its blend of stealth, sensor fusion, and networked warfare has been the absolute peak of air combat technology. It's the benchmark. But what if the biggest threat to this legend isn't another billion-dollar stealth fighter, but something a lot smarter? Meet the KF-21 Boramae, a brand new jet from South Korea. Here's the twist: it's not a fifth-generation fighter, and that's precisely what makes it so dangerous. This jet represents a whole different philosophy, a calculated gamble that questions what air dominance even means in the 21st century. Today, we're breaking down how this underdog could challenge a stealth icon, not just in the air, but on the balance sheets and in the war rooms of nations around the world. To get the KF-21, you first have to get why it even exists. This wasn't about building an F-35 clone. It was about solving a uniquely South Korean problem. For decades, the Republic of Korea Air Force, ROKOF, was flying a fleet of aging American jets, mostly the legendary F-4 Phantom and F-5 Tiger II. They were Cold War workhorses, but by the 2000s, they were old, tired, and a nightmare to maintain. A replacement wasn't just a good idea, it was critical. The simple answer was to just buy a new fighter from someone else. But South Korea had bigger plans. After successfully building the T-50 Golden Eagle trainer, Korea Aerospace Industries, or KAI, knew it could design world-class aircraft. This lit a fire under the national ambition for something more. They wanted to control their own destiny in the sky. The goal was to build a homegrown fighter that would give the ROKOF exactly what it needed while putting South Korea on the map as a major aerospace player. That ambition became the KF-X program, which officially kicked off in 2015. This was a massive national project. The South Korean government put up most of the cash, and initially, Indonesia joined as a partner, hoping to get its own fleet and some valuable tech transfer. Though, it's worth noting that Indonesia's partnership has been rocky, with payment disputes leading to a significant reduction in its stake. The philosophy behind the KF-X, later named the KF-21 Boramae, meaning Young Hawk, was all about pragmatism. Instead of trying to go head-to-head with the F-35's revolutionary, and incredibly expensive, fifth-gen features, KAI aimed for what they called a 4.5-generation jet. This wasn't cutting corners, it was a deliberate strategy. The plan was to build a fighter with some fifth-gen DNA, like a stealthy shape and top-tier electronics, but without the insane cost and technical headaches of things like an internal weapons bay, at least for the first version. The focus was on a reliable, adaptable, and affordable jet that could be built in large numbers and upgraded over time. It was a bridge between generations, a huge leap over fourth-gen jets like the F-16, but without the crippling lifetime costs of a full stealth fighter. The program also aimed to make about 65% of the jet's parts in-house, from the radar to the mission computers. This wasn't just about building a jet, it was about building an entire industry. After years of work, the first prototype rolled out in April 2021 and made its first flight in July 2022. Now, the Boramae is no longer a drawing on a board. Mass production is underway, and a contract for the first batch of aircraft is in place, with the goal of delivering 40 jets by 2028. The Young Hawk is very real, and it was born from a nation's ambition to fly on its own terms. Before we get to the showdown, let's be clear about what the KF-21 is up against. The F-35 Lightning II isn't just a jet, it's the result of the most expensive and ambitious military project in human history. The goal of the Joint Strike Fighter program, born in the 90s, was to create one do-it-all platform for the U.S. Air Force, Navy, and Marines, plus all their friends. This gave us the three flavors: the F-35A, the F-35B for short takeoffs and vertical landings, and the carrier-ready F-35C. The F-35's whole identity is built on two things: all-aspect stealth and god-tier sensor fusion. Its shape, its materials, everything is designed to make it a ghost to enemy radar. But its real magic is how it sucks up information from its own sensors and from everything else on the battlefield, stitches it all together, and gives the pilot this unbelievable, all-knowing view of the fight. Pilots don't call it a jet, they call it the quarterback of the sky, making every other piece on the board more lethal. This has made the F-35 the gold standard. 19 governments are now part of the F-35 club. If you can afford the price of admission, you get a level of airpower nobody else can really touch. It can sneak into enemy territory, take out targets before anyone knows it's there, and run the whole show. But that power comes with a powerful price tag. The F-35 program is famous for delays, glitches, and budgets that went to the moon. It's a complicated beast, which makes it expensive to fly. We're talking an estimated $42,000 per flight hour. And while they're working to get that number down, it's a huge hurdle. Plus, getting your hands on an F-35 means playing by US rules. The tech is guarded by strict export controls, and its software is a closed-off, walled garden. You can't just plug in your own country's missiles or systems. The F-35 is the king, no doubt, but it's a demanding and expensive one, creating the exact opening the KF-21 was designed to fly through. Alright, round 1, stealth. And right away, you can see the completely different philosophies at play. The F-35 is a true stealth fighter. Every single line and panel is engineered to swallow or deflect radar signals from every direction. The key to this is its internal weapons bay. By keeping its bombs and missiles on the inside, it maintains that slick, radar-proof profile, which is everything when you're kicking down the door on day one of a war. This is pure, fifth-generation stealth. The KF-21 takes a different road. It's not a stealth aircraft, it's a low-observable one. The airframe definitely borrows from the stealth playbook. You can see it in the angled twin tails and smooth surfaces. But in its current versions, the KF-21 carries its weapons on the outside, on pylons under its wings and body. From a pure stealth angle, that's a huge compromise. Hanging weapons under the wings is like wearing a giant neon sign in a dark room. It messes up your radar-defeating shape. But Kai did this on purpose. Internal weapons bays are one of the hardest and most expensive parts of designing a stealth fighter. Skipping them for now meant they could develop the jet faster, cheaper, and get it into service sooner. But the story doesn't stop there. The KF-21 was built for a glow-up. The plan has always included a future Block 3 version that will have an internal weapons bay. It's a crawl, walk, run strategy. It lets the Rokoff get a powerful fighter in the air now, while working on the full stealth tech for later. It also gives other countries a choice: buy the more affordable 4.5 Gen jet today, or wait for the pricier, stealthier version tomorrow. The KF-21 basically asks, do you really need the F-35's absolute, top-tier stealth for every single mission? For a lot of air forces, the answer is no, making the Boramae's good enough stealth a very clever compromise. Okay, let's look under the hood. Round 2, Avionics and radar. Both of these jets are flying brains. At the center of each is an advanced ESA radar. These are a quantum leap over old-school mechanically scanned radars. The F-35's APG-81 radar is the heart of its sensor suite, able to track tons of targets in the air and on the ground while also waging electronic warfare. Not to be outdone, the KF-21 has its own homegrown ESA radar, built by Hanwha Systems, a massive win for South Korea's defense industry. And while the exact specs are secret, it's considered a modern system that puts the KF-21 right there with other advanced fighters. But the real difference isn't just the individual sensors, it's how they talk to each other. The F-35 is legendary for sensor fusion. It pulls data from its radar, its cameras, its 360-degree infrared system, and its electronic warfare suite, and melts it all down into one simple, intuitive picture for the pilot. It's that God's eye view that lets them see things no one else can. The KF-21 has modern systems too, like an infrared search and track sensor, but its fusion probably doesn't match the F-35's revolutionary setup. However, the Boramae is holding a trump card: its open mission architecture. Think of the F-35 software as an iPhone. It's powerful, but it's a locked-down, proprietary system controlled by Apple, or in this case, the US government. The KF-21 is more like an Android phone. Its open architecture makes it way easier and cheaper to upgrade the jet and, for other countries, to integrate their own weapons and systems. A buyer could plug in their own communications gear or locally built missiles with far less hassle than on an F-35. That flexibility is a huge selling point. It gives nations a level of control that the F-35 ecosystem just can't offer. Round 3, Power and Performance. This is all about another big design choice: one engine or two? The F-35 is powered by a single engine, the Pratt & Whitney F135. It is, simply put, the most powerful fighter engine on the planet. This single-engine design was chosen to keep things simple and costs down across the three F-35 variants. It pushes the F-35A to speeds of Mach 1.6. The KF-21 Boramae, however, is a twin-engine fighter. It sports two General Electric F414 engines, the same combat-proven power plants used in the FA-18 Super Hornet. Going with two engines was a big deal for South Korea, and they insisted on it for a couple of key reasons. First, survivability. Having two engines gives you a backup. If one engine gets hit or just fails, the other one can usually get you home. For a country like South Korea that lives in a tough neighborhood, that's a big deal. Second, those two F414s give the KF-21 some serious get up and go. The jet is designed for a top speed of Mach 1.8 and has already proven it can break the sound barrier in extensive flight testing. Over 1,300 test flights by mid-2025 have confirmed it's a solid, well-performing aircraft. While a modern dogfight is more about computers than pure speed, the KF-21's twin-engine power suggests it's a very agile platform. It's a classic trade-off. The F-35's single engine is simpler, but the KF-21's two engines offer redundancy, speed, and peace of mind. So we've talked hardware, but the real knockout punch from the KF-21 might not be about speed or stealth at all. It might be about money and politics. We'll get to that in a second. But first, if you're enjoying this breakdown of high-tech war machines, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We break down the world's coolest military tech every week, and you don't want to miss it. Round 4, Firepower. A fighter is only as good as the punch it packs. Once again, the F-35 and KF-21 show their differences. The F-35's internal bays keep it stealthy, but limit its initial loadout to maybe a couple of missiles and a couple of bombs. If stealth isn't the priority, it can go into beast mode and carry up to 18,000 pounds of munitions on its wings, but then it's no longer a ghost on radar. The KF-21, with its 10 external hardpoints, operates more like a traditional heavy hitter. In testing, it has already been armed with advanced European missiles like the long-range Meteor and the nimble Iris-T, plus it has its own 20mm cannon. This means it's a credible air-to-air threat right out of the box. Future upgrades will add a whole range of air-to-ground weapons, making it a true multi-role jet. But the strategic difference is choice. The F-35's weapons are tightly controlled. You can only use what the U.S. Program Office approves. The KF-21's open architecture flips that script. It's designed to make plugging in new weapons easy. This means a country could arm its KF-21s with its own homegrown missiles or buy them from various suppliers, instead of being locked into the American ecosystem. For many nations, the freedom to choose your own arsenal is just as valuable as the jet itself. And this is where it all comes together. The real threat the KF-21 poses to the F-35 has almost nothing to do with a one-on-one dogfight. In that scenario, the F-35's stealth and sensor fusion would probably give it the win. The real threat is smarter, and it hits the F-35 in three places: cost, customers, and strategy. First, the big one: money. The F-35 is famously expensive, both to buy and to fly. The KF-21 is being built to be the affordable alternative. Estimates suggest the KF-21 offers something like 80% of the F-35's capability for about half the cost. With a target price of around $65 million per jet, it's a steal compared to the F-35. That kind of bang for your buck is a game changer for countries with smaller defense budgets. Second is exportability. The KF-21 is the perfect fighter for countries that can't get the F-35, whether for political or financial reasons. Since it doesn't use top-secret U.S. stealth tech, it isn't chained to America's strict ITAR export laws. This blows the market wide open. Countries in Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and South America are all potential customers. Nations like the Philippines and Malaysia have already shown significant interest. Every country that buys a KF-21 is a country that didn't buy an F-35, and that directly challenges the F-35's market dominance. Finally, there's the strategic threat. The KF-21 allows air forces to build smarter fleets using a high-low mix. A country could buy a few high-end F-35s to be the stealthy door kickers and data gatherers, but then fill out their air force with a much larger fleet of affordable KF-21s to act as missile trucks and workhorses. South Korea is even developing unmanned wingmen to fly alongside the Boramae. This approach lets a nation build a bigger, more resilient air force than a fleet made up entirely of expensive F-35s. The KF-21 doesn't have to be better than the F-35, it just has to be a smart, affordable part of a bigger team. So, is the KF-21 Boramae a threat to the F-35? Absolutely. But not in the way you might think. It won't out-stealth the F-35. It won't outthink the F-35's sensor fusion. In a straight-up fight, the American jet probably still comes out on top. But the Boramae is playing a different game entirely. It's a challenge to the whole cost is no object way of thinking about air power. Its threat isn't just in its performance, but in its pragmatism. It's a threat of access, offering a high-tech fighter to nations outside the exclusive F-35 club. It's a threat of affordability, letting countries build larger, more sustainable air forces. And it's a threat of flexibility, giving them control over their own weapons and technology. The KF-21 proves there's more than one way to build a 21st century fighter. And it poses one heck of a question: in the future of air combat, does victory go to the single most advanced jet, or to the nation with the smartest, most balanced, and most sustainable air force? The rise of the young hawk suggests the answer is a lot more complicated than we thought. What's your take? Is the KF-21 smart, pragmatic approach the future of fighter design, or will the F-35's raw technological power stay on top? Let us know what you think down in the comments. And for more deep dives into the tech that shapes our world, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.